All right, so we're going to be doing an exhaustion perk tier list. So this is going to be every perk that causes exhaustion, not every perk related to exhaustion. There's two other perks related to exhaustion. That's Iron Will and Vigil, but we'll put those in like a utility category. So up first, we have Adrenaline. Now, Adrenaline causes exhaustion, but it also ignores exhaustion. So theoretically, you could sprint burst into an Adrenaline sprint burst that can also heal you. Being healed for an entire health state, that is so huge. I feel like it's definitely gone downhill since it got nerfed. Like, a lot of people don't use it that much anymore, but it is still an insanely good perk, and you just can't beat that free pressure reset. So I'm putting Adrenaline in S tier for sure. It is a great perk, and yes, there are some times where you don't get to use it at all, maybe over half of your matches, but it is clutch no matter what if it activates. It is such a great perk. The fact it can be combined with another exhaustion perk and it heals you instantly, I just don't think that can be beaten, honestly. It's still an S tier perk in my heart, so yeah. Up next, we got Dead Hard, and we'll put Dead Hard at A tier. Adrenaline's from Meg Thomas, by the way, and Dead Hard's from David King. So Dead Hard, the reason why I put Dead Hard up so high is because even though you can only use it twice a game, I would say probably half the killers in this game have no counterplay to it whatsoever. You know, the only problem with Dead Hard is the timing of it. And, you know, the way latency works in this game, sometimes you can hit E and you'll still get hit, or it just won't activate, which can be super frustrating. But if both of you guys have relatively decent internet connection, there's probably, I would say, maybe a little less than half the roster has no counterplay for the perk whatsoever. Like, if you're playing Wesker and you virulent bound towards somebody, it's a free Dead Hard. If you're playing Huntress and you throw a hatchet, it's a free Dead Hard. If you're playing Nurse and you blink at them, it's a free Dead Hard. If you're playing Blight and you rush at them, it's a free Dead Hard. You know what I mean? There's so many situations where the killer just has no counterplay at all, and they just have to hit the survivor and give them their little on-hit speed boost and endurance. So, you know, the thing keeping it lower is you can only use it twice now after it got nerfed for the second time. So, yeah, but I still think it's an A tier perk. Up next, we have Lithe. Man, where do I put Lithe? This one's from Fangman. This one's really tough. This is such a goated perk for W key players. No, we'll put it in B. The reason why I put it in B, it's tough. It could easily be A. The reason why I put it in B, though, is because it requires a vault. You know what I mean? Certain maps barely have any windows at all. Certain maps have windows with great falls after them, so you vault the window and you spend all of your speed boost dropping down to the ground, and then Lithe doesn't really do anything at all. Sometimes it'll make you give up a pallet so you can use Lithe to get out of it, you know? So it's a little bit more situational in that regard. But it also has the dichotomy of being great as an exhaustion perk because you can save it, you know what I mean? You can sprint full speed and use it when you get to a window, unlike sprint burst, which causes some people to walk around everywhere while they try to save it. So yeah, I'll leave it in B tier for that reason. Up next is Background Player. Background Player is a tough one. I think I'll put it in B tier as well, because it has utility to it too. It only causes a 20-second exhaustion, which is great. You know, 20 seconds is basically insignificant, you know. You'll pretty much never be caught exhausted with this perk. So you could easily use this with Iron Will if you wanted to, or, I don't know, Smash Hit or something, you know, combine two exhaustion perks, because 20 seconds is such a short amount of time, it doesn't really matter. And it's 150% for 5 seconds. So, you know, if a survivor gets downed across the map and you're not even trying to go for saves, you can still use that speed boost to go do things. You know, you could use that speed boost to go reset a pallet with any means, or just go to a different generator, or, you know, maybe you're infected by Ouroboros from Wesker and you use that sprint burst to get to a chest. 5 seconds of 150% is kind of insane. And then it also has the secondary ability to allow you to get pallet saves even if you don't have a flashlight, or flashlight saves if you do have one. So it's a very great exhaustion perk, I think, that has a lot of utility to it that people really only use for saves, but I think is good if you're not going for saves also. Then we got Head On from Jane Romero. This one's tough. This is one of the very few perks that stun the killer, right? So basically you hop into a locker. After 3 seconds, you can fast exit the locker and stun the killer. And it can't be used if you have an idle crow, so you can't just camp in a locker. Now, this perk can be very devastating if you have a very coordinated team and the killer's walking by and you head on them and cause them to drop the survivor. That's very rare, though. I did deal with a match of people using head on, all 4 of them recently, that I'll upload at some point. But yeah, it's very situational and not very great. I would much rather have a speed boost by every form and measure, because it allows you to get away from the killer, get to a new loop, and extend the chase even longer. This, honestly, I'm probably going to catch flack for this, but this is mainly just for bullying killers. That's pretty much its only real use case, unless you're setting up an elaborate, like, save, you know what I mean? Because other than that, it's really just meant to bully a killer, because you don't gain any distance at all. Like, I'll get hit with head on, and then I'll down that survivor instantly, like 5 seconds later, you know? It's really just more of like a setup clip farming exhaustion perk. There's nothing wrong with that. I like people who use head on because I know they don't have good exhaustion perks. So yeah, we'll put it in C tier. That's from Jane Romero, by the way. And background players from Renato. Man, I'm terrible at this. All right, next up we got Smash Hit from Yujin Lee. This one's tough. This is also a 20-second exhaustion. It requires you to stun the killer, and then you get your sprint burst, basically. I'm going to put it at D tier because it requires you to stun the killer, and you might get 1 or 2 stuns on the killer game. Usually, you're not going to be getting a lot of stuns on a killer. Secondly, you're locked in the animation a little bit. It does trigger when you stun the killer by any means, so if the killer's carrying you and you wiggle off, you get your smash hit, you know, so it's cool in that regard, but then you spend like a second getting off their shoulders, so you don't get the full speed boost. But yeah, it's decent. You know, none of these exhaustion perks are absolutely awful, but this is probably the worst exhaustion perk, honestly, in my opinion. Up next, we got Overcome from Jonah Vasquez. I feel like this one's definitely heavily slept on. We'll put this one at A tier. We'll put it right below Dead Hard because it doesn't force the killer into a lose-lose situation. Basically, when you do get hit, you get an extra 2 seconds of your on-hit speed boost. So you're basically getting a 5-second sprint burst, which is so crazy. Honestly, I don't know why people... I mean, I guess I understand it because, you know, if you can sprint burst away and then loop a bunch and then get hit and then get to another loop and loop a bunch, but this perk is super powerful against 110 killers. If you get hit, if you hit somebody with Overcome when you're a 110 killer, they're gone. That's like... It's so hard to find them again and catch back up to them. It's insane. But it's definitely a very underrated perk, and I feel like it's as underrated as it is because people just don't want to get hurt in the first place. So yeah, I highly recommend trying out Overcome, at least for a couple matches. It's one of my favorite exhaustion perks. I really don't use it too much, though, because I'm trying to win a lot of times, and I feel like, you know, Sprint Burst is the best in my opinion. But yeah, definitely a really solid exhaustion perk. Next up, we got Dramaturgy from Nicolas Cage. This one's interesting. I'll put it at A tier. There's a couple reasons for it. Yes, you can be exposed, but also you can get double haste, which is insane. You're like literally at sprint burst speed for 5 seconds. Or you could get an item, and I've got some crazy items. You know, you could get a flashlight out of nowhere after you just ran out of battery, so you can start getting saves again. I've gotten a Gin Rushing toolbox that had double charges and stuff like that. Absolutely insane. Commodious toolbox and stuff. You know, you can get med kits. That just has a lot of utility. And overall, it's a definitely one of the better exhaustion perks. I'm actually going to put it above Overcome, and honestly, it is a very solid perk. I feel like one that was used a lot when it first came out, but it's not used so much anymore. People stick with Lithe and Dead Hard and stuff, but yeah, great perk. Then we got Sprint Burst. I gave it away earlier. This one's from Meg as well. 2 Meg perks on the top in S tier. Yeah. Sprint Burst is just, it's the best. It's on-demand value no matter what. The downside to it is a lot of people will Sprint Burst walk. You know, they'll save their sprint burst and they forgot to 99 it, and they're just walking everywhere, and that's a huge burden to the team, honestly. Like, whenever the game first starts, I always sprint right away for the most part. Once you learn to 99 it consistently, like, you can't do it when you're working on a Gin, obviously, so you're guaranteed to have to sprint burst walk unless you do use it. But when you do 99 it, it's literally a better Lithe. because you can literally 99 it. You can actually 99 it to the point where the exhaustion isn't even on the screen anymore. And then you stop mid-chase for a split second and you sprint again. So it's literally a better Lithe if you can do that. So yeah, great perk. All around, overall value, on demand, instantly guaranteed, can't beat it. Then our last exhaustion perk, this one's from Nia, Balanced Landing. It requires you to fall from a great height, and then once you hit the ground, you don't stagger at all, which is huge already, and then you get a big ass speed boost, a sprint burst basically. It does require you to fall from a great height. It's definitely better than, I'll put it below background player. It's definitely better than head on and smash hit for sure. Not being able to stagger when you're, not exhausted is absolutely huge. And the one little downside of this perk is it has a tell. So if a survivor jumps off of a cliff and they don't go, whoa, the sound they make when they're falling, they have balanced landing. And a lot of times I'll be chasing a survivor and they'll vault a window and I'm listening and I hear them not make a noise at all, and I immediately just leave because they gain so much distance from a balanced landing. It's almost not even worth it at that point. Or I'll try to predict where I think they're gonna go and try to intercept them, which has worked sometimes, but not really always. But yeah, definitely a very solid perk still, but it is reliant on falling from a great height, which you can't always make happen. So yeah, it's not like all Shaking Thunder from the Houndmaster. All Shaking Thunder, you only literally have to fall like a centimeter. This one actually specifies a great height. That does it. That's the exhaustion perks tier list. We're gonna do healing next, and then generator perks, then maybe stealth, and then utility. So yeah, but that does it for this one. Let me know what you guys think of the tier list. Let me know if you guys disagree with any of these. Yeah, I appreciate all the support. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to that good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one.